Did somebody say Schlop? That's right, we're back. A few years later from my old focus tree tier list, a lot of new nations have a lot of new content, and I'm here to put them on a graph for like 20 minutes, just for some easy content. Now, I'm going to be real with you. A lot of this is going to be subjective. My opinions are definitely going to have changed from the last focus tree tier list, and obviously a lot of nations are going to have been changed quite a bit. Also, sorry if I sound stuffy at the moment. I just sneezed like 5 times just before hitting the go live button here. Okay, starting off, Argentina. I think Argentina's actually a pretty good focus tree. I do think all the, what's that, Trials of Allegiance trees are actually really good. And in fact, I'd put them all on the same level, except for like Uruguay's, which is a bit different. But they all have quite a bit of content. All their paths are pretty damn fun. You get pretty damn powerful. And I've got to say, they're really well done focus trees. They have been nerfed into the ground, though. We got to point that out. But if every focus tree for every nation was as fleshed out, as good as these three, even though they do share a whole bunch of stuff, I think I would be pretty damn happy. Yeah, but unfortunately, what doesn't make people happy is paying, was it like $14.99, $16, $7, $20 to go play in South America? Yeah, a lot of people aren't happy with that. Okay, Australia. I'm just going to put this down in F tier for now. It's not very good. It's not an F tier focus tree, though. It's definitely like more D tier. There's a lot of stuff in it, but it's old. That's the problem, and it shows it when you play it, and you have to wait 70 days for those 2 railways to be built. Okay, next up, Austria. Austria is also a B tier focus, but as I've learned recently from playing Austria is that there's only really one really good, well, 2 really good paths, and they're both just reforming Austria-Hungary, except, you know, you're not Austria-Hungary, you're just Austria. And I do think it's a bit sad that the communist path isn't that great. I have tried it out. It's not that good. I haven't done the democratic one just yet, but the Austro-Hungarian one is really good, obviously, now, and the Austrian Empire one is also really good. So I'm going to put it up in B tier, but I think it's definitely a low B tier. Okay, Congo. Funnily enough, people apparently didn't like the Congo focus tree, but I had a lot of fun when I played it, albeit I've only played it once, and it did seem pretty good. Like fun. I don't know if it's just because I was building up my industry the entire time. Maybe that's why people don't like it. There's not a lot of expansional stuff to do in it, and I do think it's a bit limited in what obviously you can do as Congo if you don't do you know, fighting all the allies in Africa, which doesn't sound fun to me. Okay, Belgium. You know, I'm not too sure if I want to rate Belgium, actually, because I've only played the once, and that was like the EU thing that I did. Yeah, I'm going to put them with Congo and C tier, but that's just for the EU path I did. I don't think the Belgium game I played was very fun. It's very overpowered to do the EU, but you can do the EU as a lot of countries now. All right, Bulgaria. Bulgaria, I think, was pretty high last time I rated it. I do think it's a really good focus tree. Definitely the best out of the battle for the Bosphorus nations, and it is a little bit messy in places, but it's so overpowered and so well done compared to the other ones. It really makes you wonder how they messed all that up, huh? Okay, next up is China. With China, we're also going to do all the warlords except for Communist China, kind of blended into one here because, again, they all share the same kind of focus tree and can all get the main Chinese focus tree. But the problem is, I've found recently with playing the warlords and China, is that they definitely show their age. And I think other than like Ethiopia, it's one of the only focus trees in the game that kind of ends after you beat Japan, essentially. There's only a tiny section at the bottom for any sort of expansion, and it's very limited. I do think it was pretty good for the time, and I probably would have rated it pretty high, but I'm definitely going to knock it down to a C now, a low C tier. It's definitely way more fun than Australia, and this is just a subjective opinion. My opinion, okay, if we're talking objectively here, compared to like the B tier ones, it's definitely got a horrendous focus tree, would deserve to be up there, down there, sorry, but I do think it's pretty fun. But yeah, I do think that all the warlords, including Communist China, actually, they all definitely need a big rework. They're not horrendous. If you're playing like a good game or two of China, you can definitely switch between them and have a different experience a couple times. But like I said, they run out of content pretty quickly. I don't think they're as bad as Australia, but they've definitely gone down quite a few, in my opinion. All right, next up, we got the Czechs. I'm just going to put the Czechs down there with D tier. It's not a very good focus tree. They've added some little adjustments over time, but it's It's not good. It would have been really nice if they kind of slipped a bit more in for them during Got It Damn Wrong. Gave them a bit more to do, because I don't know where else they could really go ahead and fix up the Czech tree, which is kind of sad, because yeah, I do feel like they've got a bit of an interesting position in the game where you could probably do a lot more. Same with Austria, you know, Austria obviously got annexed before the Czechs, and they've got a pretty good focus tree now. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of limited in a historical sense, because the Czechs and Austria do have to go in a historical game for Germany to even work now because of their new industry modifiers and stuff. But it is kind of sad that, you know, they have the focus tree they do. All right, the Danish tree, it's also a D tier for me. I don't like it at all. I don't really like the social security stuff and, you know, the capitulation to the German stuff. I just don't like it. I think Sweden from that DLC is just so much better, and Norway's a bit lacking as well, but I just don't ever want to play Denmark. Okay, well, you already know where I'm going to be playing Canada. Canada is a really fun nation, and they've got a really fun focus tree now, because you can now get all the manpower and the industry at the same time, and that made such a world of difference for people who enjoy playing Canada. Yeah, I think I probably would have had it like middle tier before. I can't really remember that focus tree. I looked at it briefly, but I didn't really look in depth. I do think Canada is a B tier nation in terms of fun. The focus tree, again, if we're being objective here, is not the best. But out of all those nations that got a update in Together for Victory, this is the best one. It definitely stands out miles ahead. Okay, well, here's an interesting one. Estonia. You know, I can't even remember playing Estonia. I feel like it's going to be a bit rough for me to judge them here, but all the Baltics are really good, and it definitely like a high C tier minimum here, because you can get such a strong economy as all of them. Because all of them have the option to annex and integrate all the other Baltic states, and if you do it quite late, and I guess if you're playing non-historical and they haven't all blown up, you do get a huge industry from them. The only problem is I can't really remember playing any of them other than Lithuania too much, because, you know, it's just not a real region that's that fun for me to play in. Obviously, if you're doing historical, you're always going to be, you know, get beaten up by the Soviets almost immediately. So I think I need to look at the Estonian and the Latvian tree a bit more and look at their alt history paths, and I do have achievements I need to do over there, so we'll probably take a better look at those, but I'm going to put them in C tier just because I know they can get a really strong economy. Alright, Ethiopia is going to be my first F tier. I don't like Ethiopia at all, which is sad because I think Ethiopia is great up until you've defeated Italy and kicked them out, because after that is when it goes downhill. There's just so much convoluted crap with Ethiopia, and getting your economy going is just like impossible that it's really sad. And this is after I recently played the newest DLC where Afghanistan is kind of in the same position economy wise, but it is 100 times better. You can actually build up so strong as Afghanistan compared to Ethiopia that it's just criminal. But yeah, honestly, I really would like Ethiopia to just get fixed, but it's obviously never going to happen at this point. I don't think they're ever going to go back and fix the Ethiopian tree, but it's just not that fun for me. I really enjoy it when you're fighting Italy off, but then after that, it is just a slog. Okay, Finland. I think Finland's a really fun nation. Again, it is kind of the same situation as Ethiopia, I guess, where you kind of, you know, you're going to have to hold out against the Soviets, and it's really fun to do so. But unlike Ethiopia, after you've defeated the Soviets, you've still got loads of stuff to do. It's loads of fun. So I always really enjoy a Finland game, and they've got loads of alt history paths that they can do. You've got the secret king path and stuff, but I don't think that's that great. And yeah, they can get really strong economy. Obviously, the only downside to Finland is your manpower, so you can't go too crazy. I mean, you can with some of the paths, but yeah, it's definitely a really fun nation and a good focus tree. Okay, I have no idea where I would have put France, or even Free France for that matter, in this focus tree before. You know, I'm going to bring Vichy up as well. I'm not too sure why they're all that separate. I mean, they do have separate trees, but I guess they're, you know, they're not that great. Especially because I think they do all lead back to the French tree eventually. I could be wrong about the Vichy one actually, but the French tree isn't too bad in my opinion. There's a lot of fun stuff in there. It's definitely showing a little bit of a quality difference compared to a few of the newer focus trees. But honestly, France is definitely one of those nations that can get really powerful, and they've got a lot of old history paths that are pretty damn fun. So I'm definitely going to put them up in B tier, probably like, middle B tier. They're not as good as the Trial of Allegiance focus trees, especially Chile, because Chile could just become France, which is insane to think. But they do get a really strong economy, and you can hold the Germans off super damn easy. And if you do it all history path, you get loads of land, so it's pretty good. Okay, now honestly, I do not remember too much about Free France and Vichy France. I think I played Vichy France recently, and it wasn't that great, but I could be wrong here in my ratings a bit, so don't judge me too harshly here, because who the hell's doing Free France and Vichy France games? It's like a once in a 5-year thing. I don't think they're that great off the top of my head, so I can't really accurately judge them, because again, it's just not a nation you really play that much. So I'm gonna put them just in like a low C tier, because I do remember not really liking the Free French one too much. No, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna put that down in D tier, because I do remember having a bit of an issue with the Free French tree, and I can't remember why. And honestly, you know what? Just to be safe, I'm gonna put that down in D tier too, because there must be a reason why we don't play Free France and Vichy France. Okay, well, you know what? It's gonna be our first S tier. It's the new German tree. There's not too much to say here. There's so much in it. It's pretty damn good. You can have a different game every damn time. A lot of it is shared, obviously, in the old history paths, but it's just a really strong focus tree. I don't have to explain any more than that. Yeah, unlike this one. Don't like playing Iceland. Iceland sucks. Yeah, I'm not gonna say too much on this one. It's pretty self-explanatory. I think for a little meme path, kind of like Uruguay was added onto Trial of Allegiance as like a secret little thing, I guess. Would you call it secret? I mean, it's an extra nation do players. It's just it's not that great. The reason I don't like Iceland is they've got some pretty annoying achievements to get as Iceland, and you just don't get a lot of stuff to achieve those achievements, put it that way, as Iceland. And the tree, yeah, it's not that great. I mean, they have a few meme paths like the Viking path and stuff, which can get very powerful, but again, you're Iceland. You got like 100k manpower at maximum throughout your entire game. So if you're not like fudging the numbers, doing a whole bunch of cheese, Iceland is just not a normally very fun game. Unlike Italy, S tier, baby. That's right, to the end of times, the days will end, the sun will burn out, but I will still say that I love the Italian tree. It's simply one of my favorite ones in the game, which is just so funny. Every time I always say this, it's so funny that Italy has one of my favorite trees in the game, because their old one used to suck. Although, to be fair, I'm glad I'm not putting the next Axis member up there with the S tier, because you may start questioning my politics. But first off, Uruguay. Yeah, Uruguay, just, again, I'd put it down. It's probably better than Iceland, because it does have the pretty fun gimmicks of the dealing with the wars and stuff where you can peace out, but you don't have to. You can actually annex Brazil really easy as Uruguay, because Brazil just can't handle the front line, doesn't have any troops. But it's not a little nation I had that much fun with, and definitely not a nation I'm going out of my way to play. I think it's probably the best focus tree of the ones here. Sorry, Denmark, you're not a real country. I mean, it could probably even squeak up into C tier, but again, I don't play them, whereas I do play all the warlords eventually at some point. I do have games as them, which means I think Uruguay definitely speaks for itself. Like, why would you want to play Uruguay when in the same pack you have Argentina, Brazil, and Chile, which all have way superior focus trees? Okay, next up, it's Japan. I think last time around I probably would have put them in like C tier, because even back then, their focus tree was really starting to show its age, and now it's definitely starting to show its age. Japan really needs a bit of TLC. And this ain't confirming me, but I would eat my hat if the next big DLC isn't a Japan rework. Yeah, I have no idea if it is or not, but I'm just gonna be so wrong if it isn't. But damn, it's definitely the area that really needs a bit of work. And considering like Paradox have already reworked all the major Axis members at this point, you might as well get the one that really needs it over here. I would definitely say out of all the major powers, they've definitely taken the old Italian focus tree in terms of how bad their tree is compared to everyone else. So yeah, I mean, Japan's still really fun to play, but they just deserve a bit better for what they did historically. Not that I'm saying they deserve to have fun, Imperial Japan in World War II, but in terms of gameplay, give Japan something to do, you know? Okay, I reckon I would have put Greece pretty damn low last time around, but you know what? I think I think we might be moving Greece up to C tier. Okay, now, I know what you're saying. You're clamoring. You're throwing stuff at my house. There are rocks. There are things burning. I think Greece's tree is actually kind of fun. Now, I do think all their paths are super damn scuffed, but the thing that makes Greece really fun is that they can get a really good economy and become a good middle power really quickly, and actually, you know, whether you join the Axis, the Comintern, or the Allies, be a pretty valuable member. You've got somewhat decent resources, somewhat decent routes of expansion around you. The only bad part is that every path is just, it's not where it should be. It should have been way more expanded. Like, it's insane that Bulgaria gets everything Bulgaria gets when Greece's paths just feel like you just hit a brick wall way too quickly. Which doesn't mean I'm necessarily rating the focus tree overall here, because the focus tree is pretty bad, and it's not. The problem is that it's kind of fun, but then the fun dwindles out pretty quickly after that. But you can still have a lot of fun just because of the position, kind of like Canada, where Canada can become really strong and become a good, like, second power. It is just let down by its paths ending way too abruptly and not being fleshed out. But it is a really fun nation, and I think if you get their economy going, you can have, you know, a lot of fun with it, honestly. Okay, new Hungarian tree. You know what? The new Hungarian tree is pretty good. I love the schizo path with the United Kingdom of Sweden, Hungary. I like their main historical path, and their Habsburg path is also pretty good. I mean, it's not insane. It's definitely not as good as Austria's, but they do get like the added bonus where you can put like Habsburg monarchs in charge of Spain and Mexico and stuff, which is pretty good. The disappointing thing with Hungary is, if you watched the slot video we did on their focus tree, is that a lot of their paths are still really bad. Like, they didn't change a lot about Hungary. They just kind of added a bit more to their paths they already had and changed a little bit here and there, but not to the degree that you might think. There's definitely a lot of holes in the Hungarian tree still. But saying that, they do have, obviously, the absolute schizo path that is United Kingdom of Sweden, Hungary, which means I'm putting them in C tier regardless. It's not perfect, especially compared to like other nations that got updated, like Austria and Germany, where even Austria has some really bad paths. But I think Hungary has way more bad paths than they do good paths. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's definitely the best nation in C tier. It's just, in terms of fun for me, I just, like, why would I want to play Hungary now and do the Austria-Hungary when I could just play Austria and do it way better and have way more fun with it, you know? The reason it's so high in C tier for me is definitely for the United Kingdom of Sweden, Hungary. Okay, next up is Latvia. I don't know where to put Latvia, I'll be real with you. I'm really not too sure. You know, we're just gonna rate both Lithuania and Latvia at the same time here. I do think, again, they're really strong because of the economy. Latvia is definitely the one I can't really remember that much about, honestly. Which means I am kind of tempted just to move them down a D tier, but again, for the economy reasons, I'm not gonna do that. Obviously, I think both them, Estonia, and maybe even, I think all of them actually could just do the weird Soviet Belarus Union thing, which is kind of dumb. And I did have that one game that I played where I kind of saved the Soviets as one of them. I can't remember which one that might be. But yeah, I don't think they're bad. They've got a pretty good starting position in terms of, you know, the economy they can build. But Lithuania is definitely the best one out of all of them, because Lithuania can get all of that Baltic economy, like I said, but then also just click a button and get all of Poland and form the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth on top of getting cores on all the other guys. It's actually insane how big of an economy you can get really quickly as Lithuania just because of that. So I really like Lithuania, but in terms of trees, they're not that great. I'm going to be real with you. Well, they're not insane is what I mean. Lithuania is definitely the best out of the bunch though. And again, I'm not too sure that these guys should be in C tier, just because I ain't too sure about this. They could technically be lower, but, you know, the one thing I really remember is that they have got good economies. Okay, baby. Manchuria. We're just going to rapid fire this one. Manchuria used to be one of my really favorite nations to play, but they're definitely dated now. It's probably kind of on tier with the warlords, I guess, but the only reason I want to knock it down is that every time I do it nowadays, it kind of seems like the AI, it's not as easy to do as it used to be, let's put it that way. And I think a lot of that is down to the new supply system, because you obviously have to fight by both China and Japan at the same time, I think, or, well, I can't remember if it PC you out with China, but you will be fighting Japan regardless on that Chinese front, and if they do really well, which sometimes they do, it is absolutely horrendous. And that is down to the new supply system. You have like no supply in Manchuria at the start now, which means it's very hard to push the Japanese out. It's not impossible, but then also after that, you then have to go straight into China, or else, like, you can't wait around for them to build up. It doesn't get very fun. But yeah, Manchuria, you know, looking at the warlords here, it has a bit more possibility. You can get a bit more land with Manchuria, but again, I don't think I'd rather... I haven't played Manchuria in ages, so it's definitely down here in D tier. It needs to be fixed with Japan. Whereas I am a bit acquainted with the warlords, and I do occasionally have myself just a little single-player game that I don't record, because I'm a damn menace. All right, Mexico. Mexico's one of those old focus tree that still lives up to this day. I find it very fun to play a Mexico game, but I think after the trial of allegiance nations, they'll probably just take over the role that Mexico used to play for me, so I'm going to put it in a low C tier. Okay, this could be another hot take here, but I don't like the Spanish tree. I think the Spanish tree sucks, because you look at the Spanish tree and it's so much stuff, but there's really not a lot of stuff in there. And I don't know why they've got the Republicans and Nationalists split over here. It really doesn't matter. I think the Spanish trees really suck. They look at them, they promise a lot, but then you get through it and you quickly realize that there's nothing. There's literally nothing. And I think the big annoyance to it is that obviously you have like some interesting paths in there, like if you wanted to do like the anarchists and stuff like that, but the the thing is, to get the anarchists, you have to fight the civil war every time, and it's not something that you could just, you know, brain-numbingly just, you know, hit the go button. You do have to pay attention every time, and that is what puts me off ever playing the Spanish. Because especially if you're doing Iron Man, if you mess up, boom, guess what? You need to start again. And sure, it's at the start of the game, but if you're getting halfway through it, I mean, come on, bro. Like, I don't want to have to restart because I messed up moving into a tile. I don't think it's the lowest of D tier. There's definitely some stuff in there that's somewhat fun, but I just don't think it's that great. And the whole region and having fun over there, it's not that fun. Okay, you know what? We're just going to rapid fire a few of these guys that are kind of obvious, like New Zealand, F tier. You already know what I think about the Turkish tree. It's like it's definitely better than Ethiopia. We're going to put it at the end of D tier here. Who else could we possibly do? You know what? The Raj. There's nothing we can really rate on the Raj because they've got a new tree coming out. So I'm just going to put it in F tier. I mean, I have played the new DLC already. I can't say too much about it, obviously, but it's definitely not F tier anymore. Ossia, a weird little Ethiopian state over there, definitely on terms with Ethiopia. I mean, the goddamn Swiss tree, you already know how I feel about that. A Swiss would be more fun if they just took the focus tree out, let's be real. Paraguay has like the exact same thing as Uruguay for the most part, so they're going to go right next to them. Portugal's a pretty fun nation, a little bit dated, but I do have a lot of fun with it. I'm going to put it up there in C tier. You know what? It'd be a bit lower though. It's around like the Chinese warlord tier of fun. I don't play a lot of Portugal games. In fact, I play way more warlord games, so I'm going to put them there. Yeah, but the issue with the Portuguese tree now is it got absolutely mogged by the Brazilian one, which is just way better. You know, the funnest part of the Portuguese tree was obviously doing the United Kingdom of Brazil, Portugal, and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's out the window now. The Dutch are like a super mid nation. In fact, I'd probably put them like around here because it's not a nation I play a lot and not a nation I really want to play a lot. So yeah, sorry Dutch bros. I think it used to, I probably would have had it a bit higher before, but yeah, nowadays I don't find it that fun. Norway, you know, I think out of all those nations, it's definitely the most mid one. It's obviously better than the Danish one in my opinion. You can do a whole bunch of stuff, but again, not a nation I really want to be playing a whole bunch compared to Sweden, which is definitely an A tier. I mean, I've already ate my hat, or I'm gonna eat my hat, so I guess I would have eaten my shoe if Paradox obviously didn't make a fun damn Sweden tree. Speaking of fun, Poland. You know, Poland probably would have been a B tier for me before, maybe a high C tier, but, you know, going back playing a Poland game every now and again, it is super fun, and they've got a lot of focus tree and a lot of variety to do. Obviously, the only downside to Poland games, if you're playing historical, is you always know you're going to get sandwiched between the Russians and the Germans, regardless of anything you do. But it's one of those situations where I always have fun with that. Okay, Romania and Yugoslavia are definitely like two nations that I don't play enough, and I don't really want to play, which means they're definitely not great. They're definitely not worse than the Turkish street. I could probably tell you that much. Probably a lot more fun to have in these guys than on the Turkish street. But yeah, Romania and Yugoslavia are kind of doing the same for me. Yeah, people always say, oh, Yugoslavia is really fun, especially if you do like the autonomy thing and then re-annex and you get a really strong economy. And then I try it out and I'm just like, I'm so bored, man. I don't want to play Yugoslavia. And obviously Romania has the gimmick of actually, you know, flipping governments and stuff like that. And, you know, it's not a region I really have that much fun in. And if there is a nation I want to play in that region, obviously I'm just going to play Bulgaria, who has the best tree out of all of them. All right, South Africa, I'm going to be real, you F tier. Not like worse than Ethiopia tier, but it's just not that fun. It's really quite simple. It's not that fun. Okay, Soviets, boom, S tier. You already knew that was coming. But here are going to be my two controversial ones now, because I used to love playing both the UK and the US before. And I do think the UK is still really fun, but it sucks. I mean, out of all the nations that really got good updates back in the day, when the UK got its focus tree, it has stuck around, obviously, and it is really good for its time. But it's definitely showing its age in some part. Obviously, I do think for the historical period, the UK really does deserve quite a lot more. And it's almost perfect in a way, I guess, but it's just like, it's not quite there. It just needs, you know, 20, 30 more focuses, and it'd be yeah, I'd put it up in A tier. You know, 50 more focuses, I'd put it up in S tier, I reckon. Like, it's got a good basis. It's not a bad game, and I play way more UK games than I play like any nation below this, actually. Like, the UK is probably one of my most played nations. Well, I think both the Soviets and the UK are probably like my favorite nations to play in Hoi 4, and yeah, I just don't know, man. Like, I'm playing my UK games recently, and they're just not hitting as good anymore. And I think that is definitely down to the fact they need a bit of TLC. Oh, and that's not to say they're bad. They have really good paths, like really, really good paths. Even their old history ones, except decolonization. I'm just going to put that in there. That could be, you know, removed or reworked a lot better. One that doesn't lag down the game would be great, Paradox. But yeah, that is just, it's not that great. But all their other paths, even like the historical alt history one where you get Churchill early, that's really good. The King's Path is pretty good. Even their fascist path with Mosley is really powerful and really good. So they're a good nation. They've got a good focus tree. It's just, it's in its older years, it's definitely, actually, it's kind of a good like analogy for the UK. In its older years, it's just getting on, showing its age. I think we need to take it out back and put it out of its misery. All right, US again would have been one of my favorite nations to play, but it's right alongside the UK, a bit worse because, you know, it doesn't have as much as all its old history paths suck. I'm going to put that out there. And again, like the UK, and who else was it that I said that just kind of runs out of content? I think it was the Greeks or something. They just run out of content really quick. Like, as soon as that war gets started, there's just nothing. There's nothing to do. You're just doing like the random little focuses here and there. Whereas the US should have a lot more to do. Like, an insane amount of stuff to do. And the UK as well. But it feels like your focuses run out very quickly. The UK has a lot more focuses that I feel like keeps it going a bit longer. But honestly, like 1941 in the US, I've done like every focus I need to do. Like, there's no more focuses that I have to do. But the US is obviously a really fun nation to play. You get a lot of variety, and if you're a new person to Hoi 4, you should definitely give them a go as one of your starting nations, because you're just so far out of the way and whatnot. But yeah, definitely showing its age. I do really wish that they obviously get a bit of TLC as well, along with the UK. But looking at this list right now, I think, yeah, I agree completely. This is exactly where I'd put everything in Hoi 4 right now. I'm not too sure how this compares to my last list, but I'm sure it's pretty similar in some ways. Obviously, we got a lot of new nations actually added on here now that I'm looking. Although, to be fair, like my old one was like 4 DLCs ago or something like that. I can't even remember when I did the last one, but it might have been the Italian tree. Or was it before the Italian tree? You know, I think it would have been before the Italian tree was even added. But hey, you know, I'm looking through this now. We got our S tier. These are definitely like the strongest nations in Hoi 4 in terms of how much stuff they have to do and how fun they are. In my opinion, obviously, this is all subjective to me. Objectively, you know, some of these nations could be lower, like the Baltics. Some people probably do not want to play the Baltics. Some people probably do not want to play Argentina, Brazil, or Chile and think they're a B tier, but I do. I mean, I do get burned out from playing them sometimes, but if I come back to them, boy, is it fun. Just having a final sweep here. Is there anything I'd really change? I mean, not really. I think in terms of fun, and if you were to look at the nations I play the most, this block right here, I mean, I don't play these guys that much. I've just had to play them so much because of achievements. But this block right here is definitely, I think, the strongest points of Hoi 4 right here. They got good variety in their focus trees. They've got a whole bunch of good paths to do. A lot of variety in their gameplay. Obviously, the UK and the US are kind of getting inched out of that now. They just obviously have the added bonus of their geographic place. Realistically, the geography where they are in the conflicts that happen in Hoi 4 is what has kept them so high, but they are showing their age, and I do think they need a bit of work, but not as much work as Japan needs down here. Yeah, again, I can't rate the Raj right now, obviously, until the DLC is out, which I was going to wait for this video to do that, but I'm still working my way through them, and that's in pre-release, looking at all the paths and the nations and stuff, and they definitely will change, and we'll have new nations added on here too. You know, I think at the end here as well that I'm going to knock the warlords down a peg. Should I keep the communist up there as well? I don't. I do really love playing a Mao Zedong game, but yeah, that's going down to high D tier. And we're gonna move China to the very edge of C there. It is definitely getting down to D tier, and I think if I do another tree update a couple years from now and they haven't been updated, it's 100% gonna be in D tier. Like, it is fun, but I find myself playing less and less of them as time goes on now. But yeah, that's going to be my final list here. Let me know what you think. And, you know, actually, hold on. Sorry, I've got to... You know, I'm still not happy where the Baltics are. I'm going to put these guys next to China. Because, again, I'm just ain't too sure. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with this list? What would you change differently? And most importantly, who do you think really needs that TLC that I have been saying over and over again? Sorry, I just realized as well I put Congo. Okay, we're gonna move Congo down a bit. I had fun!